There we go. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Religion Outside the Box. I am the I am the best intern that they've ever had, and I'm the only intern that they've ever had.
And the
and,
youngest.
and the youngest, yes. And I'm not 61, as Rabbi Brian sent out yet again. I'm 59, and that matters to me. So I thought I would tell you that.
That's the first thing that came to mind when I saw that email. That you were going to say that again. Make sure
Yeah.
we know.
Oh, it's important to me. I got asked this week for if I wanted a seniors discount at the drugstore. So, yeah, I wasn't very happy about that. I keep telling myself I just didn't look very good that day. But anyway, um, so welcome. I'm really glad everybody's here, and Rabbi Brian will be back next week. Um, I wanted to start the service sort of the same way I did last week. I wondered if anyone had anything on their hearts that they wanted to, a couple people that they wanted to share, and just be seen by this group of people and be heard and feel the love. Either that, or if you learn something prophetic this week, you can share with us too. Shmoli?
Yeah. Yeah,
Shmoli?
I just wanted to reiterate um our family concern on Maggie's job. She's a main breadwinner now, and she's between jobs. So hold her in prayer and hold us in prayer, about that. So also her health as well, physical and emotional. Yeah.
Okay, that we will hold her in prayer and thank you for sharing. Anybody else want to share?
Well, let's see.
Emily?
Well, we're starting a thaw here. I've still got about 4 feet of snow out there, but we're starting a thaw. So now I'm learning to wear boots when I go out because now it's mud. So you
Oh
walk
no.
out the door and you walk through the mud and you get in your car. And so this is March is called Mud Month here. So that's my recent challenge.
Okay. Thanks.
Let's see. Everybody's so
Anybody else?
quiet today.
Yeah, you are quiet.
I got something to say.
Okay.
Yes, Derek.
Yes.
Yeah, this is back to my first Saturday meeting in about a month and a half because I'm currently in the hospital. In fact, I can turn my thing on here. Um, anyways, I'm grateful for the support I've gotten from emails from this group and some other people in some of the other groups. And I'm doing better, but I'm probably going to be here another month. I got to go into a rehab unit for a while.
Are you
So
going
anyway,
are you going to Parkwood Hospital?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
nice. They have a really great program there.
Yeah. So
Good.
my
How-
kitty cat that I adore is at home, has been at home this whole time. My daughter's been going by and taking care of her. Now she's taking her to her place. I might have to give the cat up. I'm sorry about that. That hurts.
Yeah, that
That's
would
too
hurt.
bad.
And
It's fabulous to hear from you, Derek.
Yeah, we're so glad. Are you feeling better? A little bit better?
Yeah, I'm doing better. In fact, I just a few minutes ago got out of the shower, and
Good.
it's the first time I've been in the shower and had a regular
Oh,
shower
that-
in the whole time.
Wow.
Well, I
Yeah.
bet that feels
You always,
good.
I always feel better
you
after a
always
shower
feel better
too,
once you've taken a shower.
if it's been a while.
Yeah. Mm.
Hey, there's no one else that wants to say anything before we start?
This is this is
There we go.
Wendy.
Got the camera back on.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yay!
Wendy, go
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you. My camera is not working, so
ahead.
I'm
Oh,
not
that's
going to have the camera back on until I reboot. Sorry. I just want to thank you, Lori, and thank everybody for last week's discussion. It was amazing to me to see that how much community there is here, and that we can do it on our own, so to speak. And I got a lot out of it. I shared that video with my husband and with my kids. And it was just a really wonderful discussion. So thank you.
Oh, great. I love that video. It's amazing. It was it was up for an Oscar. It was nominated for an Oscar for a short video, but it was really, really poignant, I thought. Holly?
So yeah, I just wanted to comment on last week's discussion about perceptions, is how drastically your perception can change when you understand the real reason behind stuff.
Yeah.
Amen.
Like, the why behind what someone is doing. That's a really big game changer.
Yeah. We have a man in our congregation at the Unitarian Fellowship, and he does human rights stuff with Amnesty International. And his strategy, he's been all over. He's been in war zones all over the world doing political stuff, and he reads books by people that he disagrees with on purpose so that he can understand their perspective and talk to them rationally when he's in a negotiation situation. So he worked for Ralph Nader for quite a while when Ralph Nader was doing a lot of maybe he still does, I don't know, doing a lot of presentations, and Mark went with him. He was born in Chicago. So a really neat perspective on your perception and how you can talk to people better if you understand where they're coming from. So thanks, Holly.
Yeah, it's a much more rational conversation when you understand where
Yeah.
people are coming from.
What was the name of that video again?
Pardon me?
What was the name of that video again?
It's called Stranger at the Gate.
Stranger at the Gate. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And if you
Where can you view that?
just Google it, and it'll come up on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Emily, I'll put the link in the chat.
Stranger at the Gate.
It's
Yeah,
very
Stranger
good.
at the Gate. Yep. So we're gonna talk. I thought we would talk a little bit more about perception, and I was gonna bring up the film that we watched last week. And for those of you who weren't here, it was about a veteran planning to bomb a local mosque. But prior to that, given his daughter's encouragement, he went. She didn't know he was going to bomb it, obviously, but she knew he had a lot of hatred for Muslims, and he went to the mosque and met the people, and through their kindness, he ended up giving up his idea of bombing the mosque and became friends. And Maria said he even was president of the mosque at one point. So it's a very, very poignant video. So I was going to talk a little bit about the definition of perception, which is a result of observing. it's a physical sensation. This is Merriam-Webster. It's a physical sensation interpreted in the light of experience. So your reality is comprised of a series of experiences that shape the way you see things. Reality is the way we synthesize what we see. And part of the problem is we assume that people would feel the way we feel, but everyone is different. And personally, I have had the habit of dodging situations based on worrying about how the person would react. And then I'm often surprised that they don't react badly. and so I've had to stop myself and realize that sometimes the other person doesn't care or doesn't know that we've been sidestepping them, or that we have what we think is difficult information, but it may not be difficult for them. John?
I'm attempting to remember. Seems to me it was a 60-minute segment sometime last year where, just talking about perception, they went to a research lab where they're doing observations on how we see things. And it's like we only actually take in 10% of what is actually physically there. The other 90% we fill in our own minds based on our experience.
Yes.
That sounds right.
And that's flabbergasting the first time you look at those kinds of statistics. And they use just physical things, like there was a vista with a bridge in it, and they showed the tiny pieces that the brain actually takes in, and at least typically, and then all the other things, the rest, even the span of the bridge and the height of the pylons and all that kind of stuff that we fill in our own minds.
Which means that we don't even see the same thing that the guy sitting next to us sees.
Right.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt, John, but you're used to that.
I just found it truly amazing. And it really does make one think about how important perception is when we do things and say things. Sorry, when I do things and I say things.
Excellent.
That I have filled in so much on my own.
So true. How many of you have been driving? And I've done this just recently. I've been driving along a spot that I drive all the time, and I saw a house I'd never seen before. So, and I thought, wow, that's an interesting house. I've never noticed it, and I drive down that road all the time. So, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Another example of the difference between reality and perception is the cold and the snow. We could perceive that it's getting colder, but we know from science that there's global warming. It doesn't make our experience void, but it changes our perception of how things are going, and that is why some people are climate change negative and don't believe that in climate change, because we've had such cold winters and lots of precipitation. But sorry, go ahead. Was somebody talking? Sorry. But my perception is our perception is different than the reality of the climate change. John, do you have another
Well, I think your example of global warming is an excellent one. Too often we there has been a tendency to use the first words that come to mind, which inadequately describe. Global warming was poo-pooed because people would say, well, we still get snow, so it's not getting warmer.
Huh.
Climate change is a more accurate description. And you'll see there are many other examples of the same thing where the first response is to come up with a little phrase, and then that phrase turns out to lead us in a wrong direction.
Yeah. Derek?
Mhm.
Oh, you're muted. Can you get the mute off?
We'll read your lips.
Just press on the space button and that should work too.
Yeah. Oh, he may be on his
On
phone.
a phone.
Yeah, maybe. But we'll go ahead with Doug, Derek, and then we'll come back to you and see if you can get it. Okay, Doug?
You're talking about perception. I have two things. I was at a seminar a number of years ago and the presenter talked about inattentional blindness.
Yeah.
And it basically boils down to you see what you're looking for and you ignore everything else. And kind of related to that, I recently saw it was a YouTube video where Neil deGrasse Tyson was interviewing Teller from Penn and Teller.
Oh, yeah.
And they were talking about, basically how the magician manipulates us to see what we want to see.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
anyway, it certainly are, if you watch any magic, they are certainly playing with what your attention is on and what your perception is. Anyway, I found that quite fascinating.
Yeah. Derek, I see you have your mute off now.
Yeah, thank you. I figured out this is a brand new phone I have, so I'm not
that's
familiar
okay.
with it. As we were talking about this reality thing, it reminded me, I'm a long time fan of Harry Chapin. I used to listen to his songs over and over again. And he had one song called A Better Place to Be. And a line that stuck in my mind for the last 30 years, maybe, is reality is just another word. Reality is just another word.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Thank you, Derek. Holly?
I was thinking what you said about climate change and how sometimes when I'm talking to people about climate change, I will actually rephrase things. So instead of calling it climate change, which everybody is so reactionary to, I ask them, do you want clean air? Do you want clean water? Do you want non-toxic soil to grow your crops in? I mean, pretty much everyone can get behind that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just, and it really amounts to the same thing when you're talking about, changing how we consume and changing how we treat the earth. If you just ask people, well, what about clean water, clean air, clean soil? Can we do that? And then all of a sudden they're on the same page. Because I'm not using terms that everyone is reacting to rather than thinking about.
Yeah.
Good
And
point.
it makes it more personalized too. Do you want clean water? Do you want clean air? Right? Very true. Ron?
As a motorcyclist since I was 12, one of the things that I've learned over the years, and every motorcyclist learns, is something called target fixation. And Doug's talking about the unintentional blindness. A lot of times we focus on what we see as the danger, and we just keep going at it, and we can't seem to look away, and we end up running into it because we are ignoring and not looking around. And I think that applies in a lot of areas today.
Particularly driving a car.
I've got I found a few ideas that might help in terms of changing our perception. So one thing that you can ask yourself is if the magnitude of your emotion matches the reality of the situation. And that's a big one for me. What are the facts? And for someone who goes with their heart more than their head, it's hard for me to always look at the factual information, but it's a good reminder. And like I said last week, sometimes we're triggered by events that happen, previous events or whatever. And I was using the example of the young man in my Sunday school class that was acting up, and I realized after that the magnitude of my emotion was over the top, and I realized that that he was the same age as my son, who had an intense learning disability, and I was feeling very frustrated that he wasn't using his gifts because this young man was very smart. And and another way is to look at how you felt in a similar situation in the past, and why am I feeling this way now? Is how I feel a reaction to the past or present. And the article I read also said that the gentleman puts himself in the mindset of each person involved and tries to think, what is their point of view? And that was like I was talking about the gentleman that reads books that are completely against everything he believes in, so that he understands the people that he will be talking to. So focus on the bigger picture. Understanding your role in reality is key. And there's a bit of optimism in that, an optimistic versus a pessimistic attitude, which we'll talk about a little bit later if we have time. I was hoping that we could go into small groups and for 8 minutes, which is perfect, or so Rabbi Brian says, and talk a little bit in our groups about any ideas of strategies we use to change our perception in a difficult situation, and how we can be more loving by changing our perception. So Maria, if you could put us into small groups.
Yeah, the breakout rooms is acting weird, so I'm going to open a room. Please don't go to it, because then I'm just going to close it. So just give me a minute. So.
And another way to combat this is to practice gratitude and to write down. We all know this. Write down 5 things you're grateful for each day to keep our perspective in a more optimistic tone.
I want to share a reality thing that happened to me once.
Okay.
I lived on 5 or 6 acres, and there was a hill, and between our house and the hill was a roadway, like not really a roadway, but a flat area that we had a shed on. And we had huge winds one night. So I'm out in the morning, trying to see how everybody is. We had horses at the time. And so I go up the hill and look around, and everything's fine. And I come back down. And when I'm coming back down, having already passed the area where the shed was, I noticed that the shed had been turned upside down.
Oh.
when I walked past it the first time, it was fine. You know, I just did not see. But coming back down, we had hay in the shed. Coming back down, I saw that the hay bales weren't covered anymore. I mean, that really sort of rocked my boat at the time.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm going to open the rooms. It's not going to automatically assign 4 people to a room. So please pick different rooms. And if there's already 4 people in there, you can always go to a different one, sort of thing. So I apologize. I don't know why it's doing this.
It wants to give you a challenge, Maria.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you,
has.
Maria.
Yes, yes.
It wants to change your reality.
Yeah,
Your perception, yeah, of
right.
reality.
Yeah. So pick a room where it doesn't look like there's too many people.
Oh, wait a minute.
Can you
It's
list?
Nothing has popped up.
There we go. There we go. I should put up there. Oh, okay. Oh boy.
Yeah,
Let's
I know.
Let's
see.
see. What
I'll pick-
number here?
I don't see
Jack,
how.
Jack, can I just stick you in a room?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I don't know about other people, but mine is not working at all. I don't have anything.
Ray,
What
do you
do
want me
what do we do
stick
to
you
pick
in
a room?
I don't have anything to tell me to pick a room.
Right, but I
Right.
could just move you to a room.
Okay,
Same
sure.
here.
Why not?
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shmuley, stick you in a room?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, people don't usually call me ma'am.
Well, you know, it's being polite.
It is being polite. Yes,
Chivalry's not dead yet.
that's
There we
right.
go. Nice. Rebecca, do you want me to just stick you in a room?
Absolutely, thank you.
If I can. Oh, there
Me
we
too,
go.
Maria. This is Diana.
Okay, excellent.
And mine, this is Pip talking, says join a breakout room, but I don't know what I should do. And it doesn't
There we
matter.
go.
Please put me somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a prompt either.
Was that
Yes,
you?
that did
Lisa?
some, says join. I'm gonna
Yes.
click.
Yep. Just click that. Someone else said they didn't see something.
Me.
Harold Con, do you want to go to a room?
Sure.
Okay. Would anybody else like me to stick them in a room?
Yes,
my
please.
last.
Yes,
Art?
please. Yes, please.
Oh, that was Chad and Lee. Okay.
I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
You should be able to just hit join. Okay. You know what I think the problem was is I had created that one before the service to check out the chat. And so then it wouldn't let me do the automatically assign things. So, oh, timer. I'll go a little bit less since they've.
Yeah, there's a couple people left.
What was your question again, Lori?
Oh, just ways that we can other ways that we can change our perception to make more positive decisions. So like the examples I gave were, is the magnitude of my emotion matching the reality of my situation?
Yeah.
What are the facts? That kind of stuff.
This is what I do. I try to list like if somebody does something, right, and it annoys me and I don't know why, then I try to come up with this list of, well, maybe they did it because of this. Maybe they did it because of that sort of thing. And I don't need the answer, but it does help me change how I'm thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I find that helpful for me.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I do. I try and figure out what triggered my reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of thing. So.
And it's important to understand if your reaction is over the top, right? Like with that little kid, with that kid who was 16 or 17, I was like beside myself. I was so angry. I didn't show him, but I was beside myself. So I talked with a friend, and in talking about it, I was able to uncover the reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It also makes me think of ways that I could then respond to things. Right? So there's a lot of different ways that there's a lot of different reasons why this person might have done that. And so then it could be like, yeah, okay, I can respond differently then if I see that come up again, or even for myself, right? Kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's not always easy to assume that you're not seeing reality as it really is.
Right.
But there really is no reality. I mean, we all see things as we see them, right?
Yeah. It was Derek who said, right, that when he was listening to Perry Chapin songs, right? Reality is just another word, right?
Yeah.
Reality is just another word. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So.
And it's our social location too, right? Like where we were born and how we were brought up, and
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said the other day, I realized the most important thing growing up was not to my mother was not to hurt anyone at the expense of ourselves, and I've lived my life that way, and I'm trying to change that now, and it's not the easiest thing I've ever done.
No, absolutely not, right? So.
Yeah. And I really am seeing how my perception of situations is not necessarily the right way to look at it.
Yeah, just trying to understand. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Our rose-colored glasses. What are our rose-colored glasses doing to our perception? So. Ryan, Steve, any magic answers on how to look at things differently? Well, they don't have to be magic. That wasn't really fair.
Stop being charming in front of Raoul. Yeah, go ahead, Raoul.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So this is something like since I was born Hindu, I used to read some like my mom used to like watch some TV shows and buy some spiritual books. So there's something very interesting like which is written in the Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu book. So the Krishna says like whatever has happened for good. Whatever is happening for good, and whatever is gonna happen is happen for good. So don't react to situations. So like do your job. For example, like there are four categories of human lives. Krishna says one is like the learning phase as a child. So all your job is to just learn things, gain the knowledge. Next is like the role of a family man, where your job is to just take care of the family, like take care of your wife, kids. And third one will be I think like something I completely forgot. But fourth one will be the renunciation, where we renounce all the materialistic things, and we go in search of the spiritual, like the path, and like
Mhm.
start thinking about like how like just like how to like be a good person and reach the God. Like so that kind of really put a lot of things into my brain. So then, like, I'm going through a lot right now, like this past couple of years, like it's so hard on me, but like this statement kind of helps me, like, okay, whatever is happening, it's happening for good. And
Right.
myself and Lori, we were watching this movie yesterday, Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, right.
that can resonate with that, like what like Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, like so. Very,
Yeah, right. Yeah. I like that part, to always keep learning,
yeah.
right? Yeah, that's great. I closed the room, so they've
Okay.
got half a minute to come back, sort of thing. So, hello, Rita. There are more of us here. People are just in break. People are coming back from breakout rooms.
Timing.
Hi,
So,
Rita.
Hi there. Sorry I'm late.
Oh, that's okay. We're just glad you're here.
yeah, yeah.
Hi.
No.
So
We're talking. Were you here last week, Rita?
what was that, hon?
Were you here last week?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we're just continuing on talking about perception and reality. And they went into breakout groups to talk about individual ways that we can check in with our reality so that our perceptions don't lead us astray. Is everybody back now, I guess?
They should be.
Breakout room number 3 reporting.
Okay. Okay, breakout number 3 report.
Oh, I didn't mean reporting. I just meant reporting that we're back.
Oh, okay. Okay. Holly, do you have some wisdom from your group?
Well, I wanted to expand a little bit on what one of our group members was talking about, how, the perspective of people in a certain area of the country even can, be a lot different depending on where they're from. But I also wanted to point out that where you're from economically and such can also affect perception. Because when I was in college, I was in a utopian economics class. And we were talking about, how the system is set up for people to fail. And, how, poor people are actually charged more for things and stuff like that. And I said, well, why don't poor people just get together and say no to this stuff? There's more of us than there are of them, right? And so a classmate of mine said, you know what your problem is? I said, well, I think you're going to tell me, right? And he said, your problem is you think all poor people think like you do. And I said, well, don't they? And he said, well, why don't you ask them? And so I went to my neighborhood and I started talking about this stuff. And they looked at me like I had 3 heads. They were like, why do you care about this stuff? That's just the way it is.
Oh.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I went back to class the next week and he said, well, how'd it go? And I said, the problem is way bigger than I imagined.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's interesting and so true. Must have been a shock. Yeah. Does anybody else want to report on what they talked about in their group? There have to be some good strategies.
I guess I'll say that our group was wide-ranging. Bob really had some interesting stuff. And right at the tail end, I realized one of the things about the reality and perception is I'm advisor to our Quaker Meetings high school group. And 100% of the kids in the group are neurodivergent, and not one of them is neurodivergent in the same way.
Yeah.
And so when you have that, what is normal? What is our perception of normal when everyone is noticeably different?
Yeah.
In a different way. And
what did you come up
I've come to believe that there is no such thing as normal.
That's true.
And who wants to be normal? Well,
Exactly.
Highly
Not me.
overrated.
Welcome to.
Do you have a comment to make?
Yeah, I thought there was a delightful theme in our discussion, which was around like waiting and time. Like time changes perceptions, either because things externally change and it gives us a new perspective on things, or sometimes even just waiting, like my own feelings change. The chemical balance in my body is probably part of that. When I have an initial reaction to something, maybe I get pumped up on a certain hormone or feeling or something. And then if I can just wait 10 minutes, I'm probably going to feel differently about it just as a result of that reaction dissipating in my body. So I think time and waiting and patience, those are key themes for us.
Yeah, because when you wait, when you're upset about a situation and you wait on it, you handle it much differently, probably much better than you would have if you'd spoken out the second you got angry or frustrated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Al. Anybody else have anything burning from from the group, Rebecca?
Someone in our group shared that chemically, when a thought hits your meditating brain, that if you'll just wait, sit with it for 90 seconds, that it will dissipate. And the only reason it just continues is that we keep choosing to ruminate over whatever that thought was. But if we can just hold on for 90 seconds.
Yeah.
I share for me, when those thoughts come crowding in, I just keep saying, not now. Turn back to my breath. Not now. Turn to the breath. Not now.
Rabbi Brian talked about, we talked about dealing with people with anxiety, and we said that the best thing was to stop and wait a little bit before we reacted. So that's a great
I've heard that 90 seconds before, Rebecca, sort of thing, right?
Yeah,
To
that's
just
not
sit with
very
it.
long, really.
No.
Yeah.
Polly, did you have a comment? Did I cut you off before? I'm sorry.
No, not at all. No.
Okay.
I just was thinking about what you said about strategies for altering our perception. Just a lot of times when I see posts, I'll see something pop up saying from Snopes, for example, saying that's not actually a fact. You're reacting to something that's not even really a thing. And so I've tried to get more into the habit. I don't always do it. I'm not perfect, but I've tried to get more into the habit of actually checking things now to make sure that that's actually what happened before I respond to things.
Yeah, that makes good sense. John?
I I like the idea of stopping and waiting for a period of time. I would make the suggestion that if you want to do that sometime, take a measure. Because if you say I'm going to stop for 90 seconds, then you're anxiously looking at your timepiece.
Excuse me. Who is looking?
And I'm anxiously looking at my timepiece. Thanks, Meg. Love you. And what works for me is a breathing pattern. Breathe in for a count of 4, hold it for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4. It's easy to establish that one cycle may take you 20 seconds and therefore you would do 4 of those cycles. For somebody else, the 4 count may last. For me, the 4 count lasts whatever it does. So instead of paying attention to the watch, I can pay attention to my breathing. And that will help to bring me down even more rapidly. So the arbitrary time, we've heard 10 minutes, sometimes count to 10, you count to, do a breathing cycle. Decide how many breathing cycles work for you for a given period of time, and then just use the breathing cycle.
That's a really good idea.
Very calming.
Thanks,
Barb,
John.
Barb has her hand up.
I'd like to
Barb?
add to that. I just encountered it yesterday, a little slogan that said, instead of shallow breaths and big drama, have deep breaths and small drama.
That's a great way to think of it. I love that. Thanks, Barb. That's really good. Really good. Dare I bring up the optimism and pessimism? Mick wasn't sure about this topic, but I actually was wondering if optimism is innate or it's learned, and whether you can learn to be more optimistic. And the latest research shows that it's a mixture. It's a mixture of both. And I think I'm optimistic because I've always been optimistic, but then I think optimism has helped me through situations. I don't know, what are your thoughts on optimism?
I agree. It's
Yeah.
helped me to be in this planet. Nowadays, especially.
Yeah, and having hope is important, right? Actually, Raul said something. Would you? Raul lives with me. He had a really interesting point about the Bhagavad Gita.
Oh yeah. So I said like I'm not sure, like which one, the first one, that whatever happened has happened for good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said like there's one thing of like I learned from this Bhagavad Gita is like during the war, like there is Krishna and Arjuna is supposed to kill his uncle because of the war and stuff. So he's kind of in a dilemma like to do it or not. But then the Krishna says this one interesting statement like whatever happened is happened for good, and whatever is happening for good, and whatever is gonna happen for good. So what are you worrying about? So as a warrior, your job is to bring the righteousness by waging the war against the bad people. So just do your job, don't worry about the consequence. So that kind of like really like made me to think a lot of the life situations I'm going through. So I think like, okay, whatever happened is happened for good. Like at this point, like as a thing, like what can I do? What can I do the right thing? Like, okay, I'm an employee of this company. Okay, maybe I should do the job right. I'm a son of a mother, just take care of her. I'm a member of a congregation, just do things like what can I help in the congregation. So like just don't worry about what is in the past, just live the moment and do the right thing in the future. So that kind of really helping me. This statement, like what he said in this book, really is kind of helping me going through the tough situations.
It's something like Dr. Pangloss from Candide.
It's the best of all possible worlds.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to also starting with yourself when you're talking about a better world. Like, do the right thing yourself.
Yeah.
And not only are you doing the right thing for yourself, but you're also being an example for other people to do the right thing for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
A sense of humor doesn't hurt either.
Pardon?
A sense of humor helps also.
Yes, it does. It does. You can laugh at your misfortunes.
I think part of optimism is taught. It's taught by your parents as you were a child.
Yeah.
Were they happy? Were they optimistic? Were they good about the future? Or was everything terrible? I think part of it is definitely taught to you from your earliest childhood.
Yeah.
My mother said to me once, I remember being really worried about nuclear war when I was a kid, and we were watching films and stuff, and I talked to my mother about it, and she said, Lori, like, she was quite a bit old. She was 40 when she had me, and she said, Lori, there have been stages throughout my life where I have been terrified that something bad was going to happen, and it's never come to be. So, and if it does come to be, there's nothing you can do to stop it anyway. So why worry about it?
Yeah.
And I always thought that was really good advice. Maria, do you want to? Are there any other comments, or can Maria go ahead and do the?
I saw Barb and Ron's hands that go up.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I can't see him. Barb.
Okay, I'm sort of interested in other people's reactions here. My husband, all the time we were together, was always saying, "You are too trusting. You are too trusting," and that went on for 30 years. And I never found anything happening in reality to make me go over to his point of view. So, 9 times out of 10, people hold up your trust.
Yeah.
And it's worth it for the 10% of the time that they let you down. And I wondered if anybody else has changed from being too trusting to being less trusting.
Yeah. Well, I'm that way. You are too.
Yeah.
And I've always found I've never locked my locker when I go to the swimming pool. And
Oh, you're too trusting.
I've never had anything missing.
I have a friend that says that people who lock their doors and are afraid of being robbed are the ones that get robbed. So I don't know. I don't lock my door half the time either. But I've got big dogs. A big dog. So, Ron, did you have something?
Just real quick in response to Barb, I have come to trust people knowing that it is possible that my trust will be betrayed, but I would rather trust the vast majority of people than be afraid that someone might cheat me. But the point I was going to make is that about, Dr. Pangloss and all that, I have found that in my life that I have suffered some really awful things. And yet, when I look back, those were the things that led to the greatest good.
Yeah.
And so I don't regret anything.
I hear ya, and that's the way I feel too. That was what I was gonna say. I feel like every bad thing has taught me really important things about the world and life. And it's just important that we don't make the same mistakes over and over again. And if we keep making the same mistakes over and over again, then we need to change something. Very true. Okay, I'm just looking at the time. Maria, do you want to do the light love?
Yes. These are the people to whom we are sending light and love. Derek G, Eileen DeToma, Alex T, Sheridan H, Arlene Hill, Ebony, Alex, Joan Austin, Lisa, Gwen, Rita S, Shmuley and Maggie, Ralph, and Horatio Meyer. If there is another person in our community to whom we can offer light and love, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list on Facebook. And for the people who aren't named, but who are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well. And I'll just give us a minute.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for having me the last 2 weeks. And your 5th intern. So, and Rabbi Brian will be back next week, and he said he's had a beautiful holiday, and it's much deserved. So, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Lori.
And
Thank you, Lori.
Lori.
yeah, thanks, guys. Great discussion.
I'm going to stop the recording.